This episode of the Infos Podcast is brought to you by CBS All Access. Looking for a new streaming service to add so you can watch more stuff? Check out CBS All Access. Hit up infospodcast.com/CBS and you can get a free 1-week trial to CBS All Access and check out things like Star Trek Discovery, Picard, Survivor, all the other cool stuff that CBS has to offer. Star Trek Discovery, I said that already. You should really watch that. So hit up infospodcast.com/CBS to learn more. Hey, welcome back to the Infos Podcast. This is Brian. This is episode 237, The Old Guard, the Snyder Cut, and a Batwoman exit. Darryl, oh my, indeed. Darryl's with me. I didn't want to do another oh my because we did an oh my, oh my like 2 weeks ago. But Darryl's with me again this week as always, and we're going to get right into it. Darryl, what's going on, buddy?
Nothing much. It's Friday Junior, so doesn't really matter with the quarantine.
We're recording this on the 21st, which is it's notable for two reasons. One, it's my 15th anniversary with my wife. So I have survived a decade and a half without her murdering me in my sleep. So,
but are you a host?
I don't know. So I've never asked the right question. And then the more important thing than my anniversary is it is the 40th anniversary of The Empire Strikes Back today.
Really? I did not know that. How did I not know that?
I don't know. First movie I ever saw in the theater, Empire Strikes Back. I was 3 years old.
Yep, same here.
Anyway.
Well, first one I sort of remember.
Yeah.
I should say.
Well, the first one I remember is Return of the Jedi in 83. But I definitely have solid memories of being terrified when Han cuts the Tauntaun open. To keep Luke warm. Yeah. So
I just remember. So did you go to the Springdale movie theater?
No, it was I think the one in Lebanon. It was one of the few good things my dad ever did for me.
Oh, okay. So we went to. I still remember kind of the crowds and I'm pretty sure it was Empire. It might have been Return of the Jedi, but I'm pretty sure it was Empire.
Yeah.
Now
Jedi was definitely in Springdale. So
yeah. I don't remember the movie itself, but I just remember walking out with the crowds because it was packed. So
yeah, because we're a couple days apart in December, and we're both negative about 8 months negative 6 months, 7 months for Star Wars. So it came out right before we were born. So oh well. Anyway, so this week we don't have kind of a main topic because a shit ton of news has come out. It seems like an inordinate amount of news has kind of popped up over the last 7 days since we've recorded. And we pared it down to just a few really interesting tidbits that we felt like talking about.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting this last week and a half, just how much stuff has come out.
It's because everything's reopening. People are going non-essential people, I guess, are going back to work, and that's the media. So anyway, all right. So kicking it off, you brought this to my attention. I'm really mad that I missed the whole comic book that this is based on because it's my favorite comic book writer, Greg Rucka. It's the trailer for The Old Guard, which is a Netflix original film coming out in July.
July 10th, I believe.
Yep. And I loved the trailer. I thought the trailer was freaking awesome. Charlize is so sexy with the shortcut dark hair.
Yeah, just too bad her Aeon Flux wasn't as good of a movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
she's got that same look.
Right. And she evidently tore a tendon filming this movie.
Oh, really?
At 3 or 4 weeks with 3 or 4 weeks of filming left.
Oh.
And she's talking about how she just had to suck it up and had to have several surgeries afterwards. But
so she is a 100% baller, just hands down.
Yeah. It's the type of movie that just signs me up. It's dealing with immortals. Mm-hmm. It's dealing with action fighting mercenaries.
Right.
And Chiwetel Ejiofor's in it. So
he's your spirit animal.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
And so I didn't. It's not that I didn't like the trailer.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that even if the trailer was bad, I'm sold on this.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So
type of movie I'm sold on, and the trailer was pretty good. It was decent.
Well, you had a little more expectation for it than I did. You were like, hey, tomorrow this trailer drops, watch it, and I'm like, all right,
that's true.
Yes, sir. And I'm like you. I'm a sucker for anything with immortals. I like the whole idea that they're just mercenary soldiers throughout time. There's this really great scene where she sees someone snap a picture with her in the background, and she's like, oh, hey, let me get your guys' picture, because they're trying to do a selfie, and she goes in and she deletes her picture. I don't think she even took the picture of them. I think she just deleted the picture with her in it. And I was like, nice. So it looks really good. I'm really kind of excited about this for another reason. Is the Netflix, I mean, we talked about this last week with when we were talking about Upload. The Netflix movies for the longest time were like really, really weak. And we went through a plethora of them like a couple weeks ago, talking about when we were talking about Extinction, how they've gotten better, or Extraction, how they've gotten better. And this, I mean, at least looks like it's going to be really good.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of movies on there that I've watched that have been decent. Like Arc, again, now speaking of, we didn't even bring that up last week with the All Amell show. Robbie Amell was in that in 2016. There was Spectral was another sci-fi one that
Spectral was really good. So
yeah, I actually like that. Closer, I think I told you about that with Numi. I always forget how to pronounce her name. Rapis, just Numi.
Yeah.
And then we had Extraction, but there's a lot of junk in between those.
The Sitter was really good, but yeah, I mean, they definitely have junk. Don't get me wrong. But you know, your Always Be My Maybe was a really funny comedy, and like it seems like for like what they were doing is they were going after that rom-com audience, and now it looks like they've decided like, hey, we're gonna go for this action audience as well.
Yes.
Like we're gonna start bringing this in, like, and you know, they had some prestige films that came out last year, like the Marriage Story and The Irishman, which was really not my cup of tea. Even that Spencer Confidential movie wasn't horrible with Mark Wahlberg and M'Baku.
I haven't watched that yet. Yeah.
So do you remember the show Spencer for Hire?
Yes.
It's just a remake of that.
I didn't even know that.
So I did not realize it until probably 5/6 of the way through the movie, and it like hit me because M'Baku's character name in that is Hawk, who Captain Sisko played, Commander Sisko played, Avery Johnson, or Avery Brooks. Avery Johnson played for the Celtics. So yeah, but yeah, so no, I'm really excited. Hey, before we get to the next story, I finished everything on Amazon. That Vikings, like I'm all caught up until season 6.2 comes out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just busted through.
I don't want to give away any spoilers, but there was an episode in there where, I was like in near tears the whole episode, and I think I know which one I'm talking about.
So
that was one of the best. That was one of the better episodes, like of all the Vikings. It was just how it was directed and put together.
Oh yeah.
And then, of course, they'd leave us with that cliffhanger.
Yeah, there's some really bad episodes in season 5, all of season 5 part 1 and 2, and part of season 6 though, where they kind of mess with like time jumps and just like it's like an acid trip that I did not care for. I definitely stand by the pre Ragnar's sons being adults. Vikings is far superior to the first half of the run is far superior to the second half of the run.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Even though I really actually have liked these last two seasons, so there are a couple episodes in there.
Yeah, it also felt really repetitive. But when season 6 finishes it's finished now, I think. But whenever it hits Amazon, we'll watch it and we'll talk about just kind of that as a whole. All right, so the next one I'm just gonna touch on real quick. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
You had something?
No, I was gonna say this is a nice lead. We were talking about Netflix action with the Old Guard. This is a good lead-in for the next thing.
So this is a Netflix superhero movie, and it's called Ball and Chain, and it stars The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, or the Dwayne the Rock Johnson, however you want to call him, Emily Blunt, and it is written by what's her name? Emily Gordon from Camille Nanjiani's girlfriend from The Big Sick. And it's based on a Scott Lobdell comic, which, I was not aware of, which, is not a new thing.
It was just a 4-issue miniseries.
Yeah, it's a 90s comic. So, the 90s was a time where I did take a little bit of time off from the hobby. But yeah, so it's interesting. It's reuniting the two of them from the Jungle Cruise, which hasn't come out yet. It's coming out at some point, I assume, as most movies will need to. But,
2021, I think they said June or July of 2021. So
yep. So just I thought this was just interesting to see that it was the two of them back together. I really like Emily Blunt. I think she's fantastic. As in she should be. And her Sue Storm.
She showed her action prowess in Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh yeah. So
that's such an underrated movie.
Absolutely. And she's great. I mean, she's great in everything she's in, but
yeah, she is.
But yeah, and The Rock is The Rock. I mean, what you're getting from him. It's him playing the character he played in The Squared Circle. Just kind of dialed to 11. So yeah, I'm interested to see how this movie turns out, especially it being Netflix. I'm trying to see. It doesn't say when it's coming out in this article.
I don't even. Yeah, it's like I don't even think Gordon has started on it yet.
Yeah,
I think it's just one of those things that's just, hey, we signed this deal, so go at it.
Yeah, let's do it.
You can start writing it now, but it's. I'm guessing. This is something we'll see in late next year or maybe 2022.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. All right, so next up is kind of a big thing, and it is for both of us, really, because he's a favorite of ours.
Raylan
Timothy Olyphant Givens is joining the Mandalorian in season 2. And I know, did you read the Aftermath books?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I take that back. I think I read one.
Okay.
One of them.
So the first one is good. The second one is garbage. The third one is better. Like, I like the third one because of the way it ends and the way it kind of sends the people out, where they're going to set up the First Order. But in that Aftermath series, there is a character named Cobb Vanth, who is on Tatooine, is the sheriff of a small homestead area out there, and he runs around in Boba Fett's armor. So he went out and he scavenged it from some Jawas, and so there's this whole thing where Tamora Morrison is coming back, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's playing Boba Fett. He's playing Boba Fett. Boba Fett's going to be in the series." No, motherfuckers, he's Captain Rex. He might play Boba Fett, but he's not going to be Boba Fett in the armor. And so in the Gunslinger episode, when we get what everybody assumed was Boba Fett with the spurs and everything, like, it's Cobb Vanth. Like, if that's who he's playing and he's running around in that armor in IRL, like in the book, that I think that's really cool. And I think that's a great role for him. Because it is very Raylan Givens. It's very much that like the character he played in Deadwood. And I'm of all the casting announcements they've made, this is the one that has me the most excited because he doesn't do a ton. He's very picky about like what he's in. And he's usually the highlight of whatever it is, even if it's a bad movie like I Am Number 4. Which is not a bad movie. It's not a great movie.
Yeah. I just watched, he had a bit part in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I just watched that last night.
So, yep.
But I love Oliphant. He was the best part of a mediocre at best Hitman movie. But like back in the day. And to your point, I think this is perfect for, this is the type of role that I like that. Like, this is news I like. We're assuming this is the character. I mean, one part of
well, no,
me
I mean
kind
Screen
of
Rant or not. I'm sorry, Slash Film.
Mhm.
Peter Cetera from Slash Film has come out and said this is sources. His sources have told him this is who he's playing.
Okay. So what I was going to say is
yeah.
one of the things I mean I like hearing this stuff like with Michael Biehn and I don't think we know what Michael Bihn's role is, but some of this I kind of want more of the surprises, but it's just popping up everywhere, like with him, with Tamura Morrison. I kind of want like for example,
I want to be surprised on the screen, not
Yeah.
in the media. Is that what you're trying to get to?
Yeah, well, for instance, when Bill Burr was in
Yeah.
episode 6, like that was a hilariously good surprise, and so I guess it's kind of hard, nowadays with the media and every social media and everything, just to keep some certain things under wraps. But again, it's not necessarily giving away plot details. So this is kind of like one of those minor gripes. It's not a big deal. It's just, but I do love that he's in this. He's in the Mandalorian world, which, man, this season 2, I mean, you think of all the guest stars we have and then the recurring characters, like speaking of Bill Burr,
right?
They said his gang was going to be back.
Yeah, Gina Carano is going to be back.
awesome.
Apollo Creed is going to be back.
I was about to say Carl Weathers going to be back.
Yeah, so I think, before everything else kind of dropped, we were going to talk about like just the plethora of casting news that has come out about the Mandalorian. But I think this is interesting, and it's also interesting for the fact that they're tying in the new expanded universe of books.
That is,
that's something that Lucasfilm never really did with the the original canon. Is bringing the things from the books into the world, and we've seen Disney isn't really afraid to dip into that IP and bring it into real life, with Saw Gerrera having such a huge part in Rogue One, with the Ghost being seen in Rogue One and again in Rise of Skywalker. It's making everything count, which is cool.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to seeing how the live action Star Wars universe, the Disney Plus live action Star Wars universe,
Disney Plus
turns out.
So yeah, I think that's cool. But yeah, okay. So moving on to the next thing, you brought this up. I really could care less about this story, mainly because I think I'm trying to think of a nice way to say this. Rob Liefeld is not the creator of Deadpool. Rob Liefeld is the artist on Deadpool, but he did not come up with the idea for Deadpool. So can we stop? Like, it was Fabian who came up with the idea, and a lot of times, like, a lot of these artists will be like, will like hang their hat on the creator vibe for some of this stuff. It's like, no, you came up with the design, great, pouches everywhere and no feet, but yeah, you didn't write these stories, and when you did write stories, they weren't very anyway. So Rob Liefeld,
were like your feet.
Yeah, Rob Liefeld is talking a lot about Deadpool 3 and a lot of things that he doesn't know about. And he keeps talking about how there's no Deadpool 3 on the Marvel calendar for the next 5 years. The Marvel calendar only goes out to 2023 right now.
Yeah.
Where it's this kind of ridiculousness, right? It's like the only thing I agree with what he says in here is they need to just let Ryan Reynolds have a little bit of free reign with this character, but pull it back enough so he doesn't go full Ryan Reynolds and we get Deadpool 2.
Yes. And that's one of the things I thought about is, I do wonder what Disney's plan is, because this is a property that is going to make you some bucks. Disney is not going to abandon it.
It's a $1 billion movie, especially coming out from Disney, because people are going to be like, what are they going to do? What are they going to cut? Right. Am I going to be pissed off coming out of this movie? I kind of want to be pissed off coming out of this movie is how people are going to go in.
And this is the thing. I don't mind them taking their time, because I don't want Deadpool 2.5. I enjoyed Deadpool 2. I mean, Josh Brolin, I loved him as Cable.
Yeah,
but a lot
Zazie
of
Beetz was awesome as Domino.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, she was awesome. That's not a superpower. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. She proved it.
But I don't want them to
Brad Pitt was great
rehash.
in Deadpool 2.
Who?
Brad Pitt was great in Deadpool 2.
Oh yeah. I don't want them to rehash the same old jokes over and over and over again. So take a couple. Look, I don't care if it's on when it's on the schedule. And his remark was like, here's what people don't want to hear, but thank God I'm a realist. Dude, shut up. Okay. Again, he could be right. I doubt it. I mean, he could be right just by happenstance. You know what I mean? In the sense of, like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But
well, I mean, he even said this is one of the quotes. He says, "My take on Deadpool 3 is it's not a huge priority. I wouldn't look for it anytime soon. If it was greenlit tomorrow, it's not coming out until I'm a lot older. If it's greenlit tomorrow, it's a 2 to 2.5 year until that movie comes out. And the last movie that's on the schedule is for November of 2023. So if that, so with Deadpool in particular, I think they go back to the February release like the first one, and you do it. You scale back a little bit. You go back to that smaller budget. You go with, you add a couple characters for sure. You get a good director like Tim Miller back in there who has a vision, can control things, and kind of
doesn't let Ryan Reynolds go Ryan Reynolds.
Doesn't go full Ryan Reynolds, right?
Yeah. Right.
And yeah, I think the magic of Deadpool is still there for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
I want this guy to stop talking about it. Like he's always, it's like people like Rob, dude. You're a great artist. Like, the jokes about the feet aside, you're a great artist. And you did. No, he is. Like, no. You go look at his like Youngblood stuff and,
I did.
A lot of his more current stuff. He had an awesome run in Marvel doing a bunch of stuff not so long ago. And,
I will say I haven't seen his recent stuff, but I had the Youngblood comics and stuff like that. I will heartily disagree. I'm not saying he's terrible, but he was not a great artist.
So, okay. He's a very popular artist. How about that?
Oh, absolutely. And some of his designs are awesome. Don't get me wrong. I mean, some of the even pouches aside, he had some really cool designs.
Him and Jim Lee are the perpetrators of a design style of an era in comics that you are instantly going to know what time of the comic is that you're reading, and that's not a bad thing. And they helped he pushed things forward. He really did. Like, a lot of the gore and violence that came into the New Mutants book, that was much different from the earlier gore and violence with, like, how New Mutants started was interesting. I firmly put the whole Deadpool and Cable thing as the reason Cable's actually popular, because Cable's kind of a dumb character. I said it. Yeah. I'm gonna stand by it. Prove me wrong. He's a pseudo Terminator, and come on, who cares? Wow, your mom was a clone, and your dad left for the real version of her.
Tough break, kid.
Tough breaks. Got Summers for life. Anyway, so I just like when these guys who are not in the movie, are talking about this stuff, and it's like, okay, like, you don't know anymore. I feel like he doesn't know any more than like you or I know.
No, I am going to say he could be right about this just by happenstance. It's a 50-50 proposition, but we are talking about it, so
but we know how greedy Disney is. We know what a greedy organization Disney is.
Yeah, like
if they have essentially $1 billion ticket sitting in waiting for them to go up to the counter and cash it in at the casino, they're going up and they're cashing that $1 billion ticket, and they're like, I would like that in non-sequential bills. Hundreds and 50s are fine. You can back the truck up to this money pit here. We have a duck who's going to swim through it. And, cha-ching. So, I don't know. It's really, really quite interesting to see, just talk about something that we know is important to them, because Iger had said it in the past. And I think Chapek...
Did you see what Iger did on his Twitter?
No.
He changed his the picture to and put Deadpool in it, and
Nice.
the kind of like the collage at the top
Awesome.
after
After
Liefeld's
that came out,
comments.
yeah. So like, because like, I don't want to be a show that talks about like man babies and identity politics and things like that, but
No.
I will say Iger has stepped up during the COVID crisis to kind of help out because they were in the midst of a CEO transition with Bob Chapek. And Chapek definitely wants to bring, quote unquote, bring back some of the fans that have left due to some of the things that Marvel movies has done, the Star Wars movies have done, that just kind of, some of the people who have been in charge have not put story first. They've put ideology and they've put their own agendas in front of everything. And here's the thing. Star Wars always had an ideology. Indiana Jones always had an ideology. Marvel, from the beginning, had an ideology. But you know what it did before Disney got their hands on all of those things? Is it put the story above all else.
Exactly. And that's always my type of concern about stuff. When people talk about, for example, a woman lead, I can name Tomb Raider, Alita, the movie with Charlize Theron, Atomic Blonde, the Tomb Raiders with the Anna,
Angelina
the Tomb
Jolie's
Jolie's Tomb Raiders, the like Jennifer Garner's Peppermint or Alias. All of these things put story before the ideology of
I have a great example of this for you. The movie Salt. The movie Salt was written for Tom Cruise. He dropped out. They put Angelina Jolie in the role. All they did was change the sex of the character and the name, essentially. They changed almost nothing else to the script. I
didn't know that.
That actually is storytelling that works.
Yes.
Plain and simple.
Yep.
So, like, I don't care. Like, and we're I don't care. Like, I sent that image to you earlier with Ryan Johnson and Carrie Fisher. I think I sent it to you. If not, I'll send it to you afterwards. But like the Canto Bite thing made no sense to the story.
No, it didn't.
But if they would have made it important to the story instead of just being like, hey, look, the rich get richer. Great. We know that. And then you beat the dead horse on the ship when, Benicio del Toro is like, hey, guess what? I'm a mercenary and I'm getting it from both sides. And, BB-8 stole this ship for me and now it's my ship. So, it has, when it has nothing to do with the story, and I know this is a huge tangent that we're going on and it has nothing to do about Deadpool 3.
But yeah.
But the thing is it kind of does because, Negasonic.
Especially the next topic that we're talking about.
We'll get to that for sure. But like Negasonic was, made to be a gay character and they handled it very well. It was really funny. The way Wade and Kiko, had their interactions in Deadpool 2. Hi, Wade. Hi, Kiko. And
I love that.
Yeah. And, it didn't do anything to change how important or how awesome Negasonic Teenage Warhead was in the second movie. That again, like Deadpool 2 is not the best storytelling, but that again, the character was still motivated by story and not by shoehorning anything else in. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to.
That's all we're asking. That's all we're asking.
And I don't
make
care.
the story the priority.
Yeah, I don't care if it's a female lead, a male lead, a gay lead, a trans lead. One of the best shows on television is it just slipped my mind. The one with Zendaya.
Euphoria.
Euphoria. Thank you. Euphoria. Oh my God. That show is amazing. Amazing. And it shows a great swath of representation across the show, right? But it's all about the story of that show, and it's all about Jules' journey and Rue and her journey. And I think when you look at things like that, it makes me really hopeful that that's where we're going with storytelling, where it doesn't matter about any of that stuff. But when that's the defining trait of what your movie is and what you're trying to say, then it's not a story anymore. It's just a propaganda piece.
Right. And
So.
then it doesn't matter which side it falls on. When it's stuff like that, and I'll put like examples with some of the, the religious, some of the religious films, they do that where it's like, look, if you have a good story, okay, but if you're trying to send a message and the message is first before the story, I'm not going to be interested in it.
Right. Yeah.
Because usually it's not going to be good, and a lot of those,
I think there were a bunch of
usually not good.
Kirk Cameron movies that came out in the '90s that were that way, right? That were super religious, and it was just propaganda.
Yeah.
So, there was a guy back in the day. Hitler used him very well, named Joseph Goebbels, who created some of the greatest like filmmaking of his time. But it was all horrific and horrible propaganda pieces for Nazi Germany. Mm-hmm. And, the unfortunate factor that he pushed filmmaking ahead 2 decades is, overshadowed obviously by the content of what he put out. and
just a little bit, huh?
Well, but I mean, like that's the way things are going right now. Like, it's just great. You're overshadowing these really cool things that you're doing. Mm-hmm. with your propaganda pieces. And I want to go to the movies and think, and I want to go to the movies and be asked questions and come out of the movie sometimes confused and have to think about what I thought about it or how I felt about it.
And again, it doesn't have to be anything like that. Me, for example, like, and I'll go with a political perspective, agree with, and for example, look at West Wing or look at House of Cards. Those were great stories. And so what, they had politics in it. And again, I'm usually one that I'm not but way though did it, I will the West, but it put the story and the characters first.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. It's just one of those things where yeah. All right, so let's move on to the next one. So
probably one of the biggest surprises.
This was a huge surprise. It seemed mere hours after it was announced that it was picked up for a season 2. Ruby Rose has dropped out of the CW Batwoman at the end of a truncated first season.
Wow. Wow. And did you ever watch any of the episodes, any of this?
So I watched the Crisis on Infinite Earth episode. Mm-hmm. That was Batwoman, which was far and away the worst episode of the Crisis. And I went back and I tried to watch the pilot, and I just couldn't.
Okay. So I watched.
I like her though. I want to preface. Yeah. I want to preface what we're going to talk about here. I thought she was great in Orange Is the New Black. She is.
I haven't watched that.
Hilarious in the very small role she has in Pitch Perfect 3, and she is fantastic in John Wick 2.
Yes.
Fantastic. And she doesn't say a word. And this is how good of an actress I think this woman is she doesn't have to say a word, and you understood everything you needed to know about who she was and like what her motivations were and what a badass she is.
Yeah. So I watched probably the first 12 or 13 episodes. And
were you reviewing this one?
Yes, I was. Okay. And after first of all, the first trailer for this show was one of the worst trailers I've ever seen for any show in my life.
Yeah, it immediately turned me off.
It was absolutely horrible. And at first I was like, there's no way I'm going to watch this. And then, so I started reviewing it, and I said, okay, I reviewed. Nobody wanted to take it, or somebody wanted to take it and they couldn't. I can't remember. But the first couple episodes, I said, okay, it's not great at all, but the ideology that I was expecting was not really there at that much. Again, I mean, there was her relationship, but again, Kate Kane is as Batwoman, she's known as lesbian. So I mean, I don't call that ideology. That's just her character. But but some of the other stuff I was expecting wasn't there in the first couple episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And then it changed, and then it went the Supergirl route. It just got progressively worse. Ruby Rose was always the best thing in it. Cameron Johnson, who plays Luke Fox, who's Lucius Fox's son, he was good. Their chemistry was great as partners.
Yeah.
I mean, I love their chemistry. They were really good, but some of the side characters were poorly written,
laughable,
poorly acted
at best.
Yeah. Doug Ray Scott, like, I think he's just collecting a paycheck because I've seen him in other stuff. He's not, I wouldn't say he's like DiCaprio great or anything, but he's a serviceable actor. And
well, he was supposed to be Wolverine.
Yeah.
And thank goodness for John Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think with this one, this is another one of those shows, and it got so much attention for it being an openly gay woman leading the show, and it's they're saying it's the first first scripted live action TV series to feature a lesbian superhero on top of the call sheet. Great. There needs to be firsts for everything, but then it's also important that the openly gay producers Greg Berlanti and showrunner Caroline Dyers, that doesn't matter. I don't care about that. And again, I think where we talked about that trailer, right? When it's like, yeah, this suit's gonna look great, when it fits a woman.
When it's made for a woman.
It's really. You did Superman dirty. Why you gotta got Batman?
We're not gonna even go with Supergirl. We're not gonna even talk about Supergirl and the whole Superman made him a jobber for her.
Jabberoni.
Yeah. But that scene in the trailer reminded me of my eye roll scene from Endgame, and we all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. We just watched Endgame the other night, and even Angel stopped and she's like, yeah, okay, this is gratuitous.
So with this, I'm and again, I got two competing. There's a couple articles talking about. There's one, and I was just listening to the video. I don't know where I was trying to find the source where it was saying that she was unhappy with the production. Well, first of all, about when she almost got paralyzed from.
Yeah, she got hurt, legit, hurt
badly.
Hurt, where she had to have was it multiple surgeries? I know it was at least one.
I know it was emergency because she almost got paralyzed from what is it called? One of the wiring stunts she was doing. And so one thought was that, and then there was another one that was talking about that she was not the best coworker, which again, not necessarily.
I'm not on the set.
Rumors.
I do want to say something real quick because I know she's gotten a bunch of backlash. I don't care that she quit. If she doesn't want to do a job, she doesn't have to do a job.
Because that's going to show.
And if you don't want to be there, you don't have to be there. And all I have to do is point back to Thor: The Dark World, and you look at that little brat who didn't want to be on set because they fired Patty Jenkins, and she couldn't get out of her contract, and what should have been a great movie was a set that was not fun for anybody because Natalie Portman made it not fun for anybody because she made it known that she didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Then just walk away. Just walk away.
And again, this is not, and this is one of the things people can do what they want to do. And if I love this show, I've been very disappointed. But and again, the funny thing is when she first got the role, she got ripped on Twitter because quote unquote, she wasn't gay enough.
See, when they announced it was her, I was like, oh, this is great casting. Me too. She's a really good actor. She's got this great physicality to her.
Yes.
I will say, I think part of the issue I had with a little bit of the show I watched is when they did fight sequences with her.
The fight sequences weren't.
It was so up close, you didn't get to see her or her stunt woman or whoever doing any of the actual fight choreography. It was like watching, and I'm a strong dissonant of the Nolan Batman films, but it was like watching the fight sequences in the Nolan Batman films.
Absolutely.
It's this horribly frenetic, non-organic fighting style that makes zero sense, and either one of these Bat characters would have been killed almost instantly.
Yeah,
and with the way they fought.
you put the fight sequences of the Nolan Batman against something like the Captain America movies, and it's not even close.
Like, you just pick your favorite fight from any of the 3 Nolan Batman movies and put it up against Bucky and Cap fighting in the street in Washington, D.C. the first time they meet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or it's not the first time they meet, but like, where
their first head on.
Yeah, where he figures out like who it is, where it's revealed who the Winter Soldier is. And it's like, you just can't. And I understand that this is a movie versus television. But
and television, like Green Arrow had some of the same issues, and not necessarily in the choreography for Arrow was much better. Don't get me wrong.
But Daredevil didn't have any issues. Yeah. Jessica Jones certainly didn't have any issues.
No.
Even, and I hate to heap praise because I know people get mad at me, but even Iron Fist didn't have these issues.
Well, season 2 didn't. Like season 1
didn't have the
no, season 1
close.
Iron Man season 1 fights were atrocious.
Well, it's because he couldn't do martial arts.
Absolutely. That was on him and the stunt coordinators.
He was the wrong. This is another example where he was the wrong actor for a part.
Yeah,
plain and simple.
Now, and I think what you're saying about Batwoman, as far as the lighting goes, you're right. They didn't have those problems where you couldn't tell what was going on.
Right.
Like that. It was like that Batwoman. Well, the whole Bat verse, it seems like.
Yeah.
Because Arrow didn't have those issues. I mean, there was stiffness in some of the fights.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's what I'm talking about. But from a visual standpoint of actually seeing what the hell's going on, it's like Batwoman was pretty bad at that. Yeah, it was very bad.
Like, I mean, I can get that as like the Flash having those kind of fights where it's real frenetic and up close because Barry's fighting at super speed.
Right.
Stephen Amell turned himself into Green Arrow.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The stuff he did to get hit for his role is nothing short. You have to commend the sweat and blood that he put into his role.
Yeah. And I don't know what Ruby Rose put into this role. I don't. But all I do know is she's a very good actress. She's got a very long career ahead of her if she wants it. And for people who are getting mad at her for walking away from this, why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. What effect does it have on your life, to be honest? Again, there's one thing you can say, hey, I'm disappointed that she walked away, and then leave it at that.
Yeah.
That's all you say.
Here's the thing. The only way I would be disappointed is if she walked away and they said, you know what? Okay, we're going to cancel this show now. And she cost, a couple hundred people their jobs. But they're not. Mm-hmm. They've come out and they said, we're going to recast this role. We're going to have a different person coming in and playing Kate Kane. We don't know who it is yet, but the CW shows aren't coming back until late January anyway. They have plenty of time.
Except Supernatural, I think.
Yeah. Supernatural's coming back in the fall, yeah.
Yeah.
But the superhero, the Berlanti-verse, shows.
Yeah. Well, Stargirl's going on now, which, again, I watched the first, part of the first episode.
Is that on CW or is that on the DC?
It's on both.
Did you restart that yet?
I'm actually thinking about it now because just for some other stuff.
Well, I feel like it's only fair since I'm shouldering the burden for age.
So evidently the DC Universe version of Stargirl has 4 or 5 minute longer episodes.
Oh, I imagine it's uncut,
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And from what I saw, it wasn't too bad. But
I really liked the look of Stargirl in what we've seen because in Smallville, she had a 12 head on that mask. The mask went too far up her head, so it looked weird. She kind of looked like Chunk not Chunk. It looked like Sloth from the Goonies. And the other version of Stargirl that we've seen on Legends here and there. Well, it's the same girl. Never mind. My weird thing is the Dr. Midnight being a short black girl now. I hope they explain that.
But just back to Batwoman real quick. I'm actually, based on the ratings, I mean, the ratings have been going downhill since all season long. So the fact that they are getting another season, and again, I know the CW kind of, the ratings aren't nearly as looked at in the same way as something on one of the normal stations.
Yeah.
But she was the best part of the series, and like the show's writing was the biggest problem for me.
Yeah.
It just like sometimes it was just like I was scratching my head and wondering if they were really actually trying.
Mm-hmm.
Like it sounded more like fanfic a lot of times than anything else.
Yeah.
Although I guess with when you do a 50 Shades that is basically fanfic and make all that money, but whatever. So, but yeah, you're right. She's gonna land on her feet if she so chooses. I really like her. I like her energy. Just like the aura she has about her. So I look forward to whatever she does next.
Yeah. Like I said, like I think she's a good actress, and I want to see her do more. What little bit, and like so. I mean, that's why I'm not really talking a whole lot about the show. It's just a little bit I saw, like I felt was lacking.
Oh, absolutely. You're absolutely right.
It's not like let's go with another show on the CW has a female lead, The 100. The 100 is amazing. Clark is a great character. Clark is an uncompromising character who does whatever it needs to do.
And one thing I like about Clark is that sometimes I don't like her, and I love that as a character.
That's the beauty of Clark.
Yeah, and there are times where I'm just like I want to strangle her. And then times where I'm just like, I love you, Clark. And that's what I like because that's a 3-dimensional character.
But you never don't understand her motivation.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And
sometimes she's an absolute bonehead for sure. But you always understand why she's doing what she's doing. And you can't, I don't know. It's just, it's so frustrating. I think part of it is the whole, like, imagine if The 100 was on HBO. What a different show it would be, right?
Yeah.
People wouldn't be like, people would be talking about how The 100 is one of the best science fiction shows of all time. If it was on HBO or not Cinemax or Showtime or Starz even.
Or Starz, I was about to say, yeah.
Or even Sci-Fi, where they could be a little more risque. Instead, it's saddled with this whole, it's a CW show. It's got that CW vibe, that Riverdale in space type thing. Where it's more, I think it's closer to Battlestar Galactica,
absolutely,
than it
100%.
is,
yeah,
Riverdale or The Flash or any of those things.
Well, no, 100%. It's closer to Battlestar.
I mean, when David and I did the review leading into season 5 a couple years ago, like we called it Battlestar Babies. I mean, because that's what it is. It's like the Muppet Babies version of Battlestar Galactica, and and it just so happens to take place on a planet for a good chunk of it. But yeah, I'm super stoked for the last season of that. And that's a female lead who crushes it week in and week out and is the leader of that show. And it's just, I don't know. All right. Any last words on Batwoman?
No, like I said, no, nothing else about Batwoman.
Okay. So our last story of the show.
Okay. One thing I want to say about this. I really wish I had thought of this before, but I want to have a soundtrack where it says, the Flash Gordon song, like he saved every one of us. I want to have that playing right now, and then instead of Flash, have Zach come on.
Zach.
Yeah.
I'm just really looking. Okay, so
savior of the DC universe, maybe.
No, it's not going to save anything. So Zack Snyder, as I like to call him. Has the fine folks at Warner Brothers have decided, you know what, there is a Snyder Cut, and you know what, we're gonna have $20 million to actually finish the Snyder Cut with actual effects. After years of denying that there was no Snyder Cut, so it is coming out on HBO Max in 2021. They have not give an actual date yet. I think this is brilliant to get people to go buy HBO Max, even if it's just for the month that this comes out. Okay, so maybe people forgot, but we'll set the stage. Zack Snyder had to leave the director's chair of Justice League. He and his wife Deborah, who was the producer on the movie as well, had to leave because their daughter committed suicide, which is awful. And no shame against them for stepping away. They needed to do what they needed to do. They needed to take care of themselves. I give Zack Snyder a hard time. I do really like Zack Snyder as a visual storyteller. I think he's a fantastic guy. And Warner Brothers said, "Hey, we can go on hold. We can go on hold, and you can go work your stuff out, and you can come back." And they said, they agreed on having Joss Whedon come in and ruin the movie, and so I'm really looking to see what a Whedon-less version of this movie looks like. I think feature film is not where Joss Whedon should be, especially as we're rewatching Buffy and Angel now, since we've gotten to the point where Angel started as well. We're just kind of going back and forth. But I think that Whedon did not understand these characters. I think he tried to put a whole bunch of really weird comedy that didn't need to be in there and not necessary.
Absolutely.
And I think I don't know what he was trying to do. So I'll put it like that. I hated Justice League. Hated. I've tried to rewatch it and I can't.
I have too because I end up buying it. It was like on sale for like $7 and I bought it and I can't watch that movie. It's
I don't know if you saw my post about this, but I'm wondering what fresh hell Zack Snyder's going to give instead of Henry Cavill's stash being edited out. But yeah.
So this was great news to me. As again, I know Zack Snyder from a storytelling standpoint, doesn't always stick the landing. Visually, like with 300. I mean, 300 is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
Ever.
Oh, yeah.
Man of Steel is one of my favorite comic book movies, even though we've discussed this.
Well, I've turned the corner on Man of Steel. Like I've come a little closer to your side of the aisle on Man of Steel. Mm-hmm. It is insanely rewatchable, but at the same time, it's a standalone film and was not the basis or foundation for a DC universe. And Martha and Jonathan Kent in this particular universe are literal monsters.
And I'm laughing, but it's actually
like if you told me Martha Kent was the bad guy in the Justice League and they all had to stop her, I'd be like, shit, yeah, you got to stop that Martha Kent because she's a goddamn monster.
A thing. Yeah,
right.
You don't owe this world a thing. What? No. When
old Kevin Costner there is like, no, you just let him die. You don't save him. You just let him die. You hide. Yeah. They can't cut into you, but you just let him die. Yeah. I don't know. I'm marginally excited to see what happens here. I did end up watching the extended cut of Batman versus Superman, and I can't believe I gave another 3 hours of my life to that movie.
Dude, that's where we differ because I don't know. Like might be a strong word to use.
I tolerated more of the super cut than I did of the theatrical cut.
But comparing the two it's like because there are so many plot holes in the theatrical cut. Yeah. And you watch the ultimate cut and like, okay, that makes sense now. I mean, again,
I think a really good kind of like similarity to this is the Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck. The director's cut of that like filled in a bunch of like just holes, right? Mm-hmm. And it made it a marginally better movie. It's still not a good movie by any stretch of the imagination, but it made it marginally better and more enjoyable, and it's something that like I would rewatch.
Now, if the ultimate cut had someone else in Jesse Eisenberg's role, that would have been a much better movie because that's still my biggest issue with that movie is him.
I feel like they missed a huge opportunity for what would have been a kick-ass Riddler.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It was just the wrong casting choice, and I'm a Jesse Eisenberg fan.
Oh yeah, like absolutely.
30 minutes or less with him and Aziz Ansari is a hilarious movie. The Art of Self-Defense is amazing, and it is art. It is art 100%.
Yeah, even him in American Ultra, he was.
Which is I was gonna get there next. Like him and Kristen Stewart. I love both of them in that movie. So and The Social Network is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was just the wrong case. I do not want to see Lex Luthor in this movie, in the Snyder Cut. I know he's in it.
Please, no.
I know he's in it, but I don't want to see it.
No.
I want the black suited Superman that we were gonna get. That we saw all those pictures of with Henry in the beard. Justice League, the Whedonness, the Whedon cut, if we can call it that, made me appreciate Man of Steel, and definitely made me appreciate Henry Cavill for what he could have been as Superman.
Absolutely.
He was terrifying in the Whedon cut because of the missing mustache. Did you ever watch the show iCarly?
The show what?
It was called iCarly. It was on.
No.
So there was a bit that they would do where the girls would the girl that played Sam would dress up as a cowboy and she had a fake mustache, and Carly would be like, "Hey, mister, you got a squirrel on your face." And that's all I can think of when I'm looking at Henry Cavill with the CGI'd upper lip. It's like, because there's a mustache there, and it's like, hey man, you got a squirrel on your face.
So when we went to go see that, I didn't realize that. I didn't know about that. And so that first scene they show of Superman, and I'm like, what the hell is wrong with his face?
Mm-hmm.
And so I had no
Did he? Has he always had a hair lip, and they just CGI'd it out?
Yeah, I couldn't look away. I'm like, what the hell is wrong?
Oh, it is terrifying, and yeah. I don't know why they didn't just let him grow out the beard, because he had to keep the mustache for reshoots for Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible, right?
They should have just had Superman have a beard for the whole movie.
See, that would have been pretty cool.
It'd been easier to go back in and CGI a beard onto him than it was to take that mustache off. Yeah.
So getting a couple of the the unknowns about this are, one of the things that Snyder said it's going to be totally different, and also that they're going to bring the people in for some voice work. Mm-hmm. No reshoots or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 4 years almost.
Yeah, and the question is, is it going to be a 4-hour cut versus 6 episodes? Mm-hmm. Kind of like I don't know if you knew what is that called? The Hateful Eight. What they did, they kind of on Netflix. What they did is they have the ultimate cut version of that, and they split it into 4 quote unquote chapters.
I did not know that, but now I know I'm going to go watch that at some point here soon.
So that was pretty cool. But I would rather, I don't know how I would either way. I'm going to watch it. It doesn't matter.
I just feel like there was. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. My bad.
I would like them to keep the flow. Mm-hmm. Just do it as a 4-hour cut with the option, or with an option of having.
Well, here's the beauty of it: it's going to be on a streaming network, right?
Right.
Just make it 4 hours. I can pause and go pee whenever I want.
Yeah.
So plain and simple.
And I agree with that.
I think there was just a lot of really poor casting choices in this, as well. Like that just kind of doomed it from the beginning. I think Ray Fisher was the wrong person. I think Ezra Miller was the wrong person. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's kind of, and I know this is on me or on us, how we look at things, mm-hmm. but once seeing Grant Gustin as a Barry Allen, and then seeing Ezra Miller, and I know they're playing different Barry Allens. The Crisis on the Crisis. That was actually one of my favorite parts of the Crisis.
It was funny when he showed up.
Yeah, it was fun. But, and again, I like Ezra Miller as an actor.
See, I don't not at all.
Like, I don't mind him as an actor, but I don't like him. I don't necessarily like him as Barry Allen.
Yeah, I don't like Jason Momoa necessarily as Aquaman either.
See, I love Jason
even though
Aquaman.
I will say Aquaman, or what I call Underwater Black Panther, was a very funny movie.
Yeah,
but I don't know if it was supposed to be.
I love Jason Momoa as Aquaman.
So I don't know. Sometimes I like Jason Momoa, sometimes I don't. But yeah, Ray Fisher, I know nothing about outside of this movie. Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't understand why they. Well, one, I never understood why DC kind of graduated Cyborg from the Teen Titans up to the Justice League for kind of no reason. Mm-hmm. He's never been like a real powerhouse. And like, I loved him with the Titans. I mean, that's where he is, but they turned him into, and again, like, I think it was part of them trying to make the comics be a little bit darker, with the New 52, a little more violent, kind of like what they were doing with the movie universe. And they turned him into just a big mope, just a big sad sack. And it's like, great. And then they made him half apocalyptic, which I think works better like in these animated movies that we get. but
Yeah.
does not work in live action. I think him being part mother box was really dumb.
Mother. How many times they say that in the movie?
I just, every time they say it, I want to play the dancing mother.
But I think Justice League was a dumpster fire of a movie.
It's a failure. It's an utter failure. There's no reason that movie is not one of the 5 highest grossing films of all time.
There's no reason it shouldn't. Yeah, absolutely. You have Wonder Woman, you have Superman, you have Batman. That should be enough right there.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of when we were talking about X-Men: The Last Stand. When I went to the movies to go see both of these movies.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, okay, they're not bad, but they're not great. And then the more I distance myself from that, and then rewatching those afterwards, it's like, good God, these movies were awful.
I mean, we walked out of the theater for Justice League with all of our comic book friends, and everyone was like, what did we just watch?
Yeah.
Like, this movie is not going to make $1. It was, like the fact that it didn't make $1 billion is ridiculous. The fact that Aquaman is the first DC movie to cross that $1 billion mark is ridiculous. I think what I'm also kind of hoping for is they fix the DC curse of the third act. The first 2/3 first 2/3 of Wonder Woman is a very good action movie. A very, very good action movie and enjoyable, right? Everything on Themyscira. When she first comes to dirty ass London and the change of the visuals there is really cool. All the way up through her on the battlefield where they're, where she's clearing out the landmines and making way for everybody to charge Battle of Bulge style. Is very good. But the minute she walks into that castle with that sword in the backless dress, and they expect me to like be on board for anything else that happens in this movie, and then it just turns into a slog fest of really poor CG and
yeah, and you have the light from the sky.
I want. If anything, I don't know if they're done with this cut or if they're still working on it. Let's have a great third act. I'm okay if it starts poor or has maybe wanders around in the middle for a little bit. But let's end on a high note.
Finish strong.
Yeah, finish strong. Like Empire Strikes Back, for example. I love it. It's my favorite Star Wars movie.
Absolutely, it's my favorite too.
But the stuff on Dagobah, there might be about 10 minutes too much there.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. 100% agree.
Like maybe we show more of the training montage, less of Yoda.
Well, another good movie, another great one of the greatest action movies, Terminator 2. The time in the desert, which again it slogs a bit there. But again, those movies, that the climax and they finish strong.
That's all I ask, man. Go out on a high note. Like that episode of Seinfeld when George tells a funny joke and he's like, "I'm out," and he walks out of the room. That is the truth. Like a comedian saves their best joke to punch you in the face as they're walking off stage.
Right.
Let's just see a little of that. That's really what I'm hoping for, is to see it kind of break that curse.
Yeah. And just get the taste of Justice League out of my the taste of that movie is just.
Well, I think getting the taste of Martha from Batman versus Superman is the thing that needs. Again, I think that was a travesty that kind of set up
that
what was already a failed premise.
Okay, hold on. So I'm really rooting for you, Zach. But the decision to go with that Martha scene. I don't even know what to say. I don't know what you're thinking or smoking or why.
Why'd you say that name?
And then I remember watching a video with John Campea trying to justify it. And I'm like, dude, I'm not buying what you're selling here. There's no way you can make that a cogent argument on why that made sense.
Nope.
None
whatsoever. Martha.
So I'm cautiously optimistic on this.
Yeah.
Again, I was on a message board and they were like, the one thing I said is, I know for a fact it's going to be better than what we got for Justice League. I just know that. I don't even have to see it to know that.
Yeah.
Again, if it's going to be marginally better, a little bit better, or a lot better, or who knows? But
it could be even worse. Who knows? But
yeah, it's not going to be worse.
No, I'm like I said before. I'm just excited to see a version where the Joss Whedon nonsense has been pulled out.
Yes,
I think
100%.
Yeah. And it's not like I'm not a Joss Whedon fan. I just feel like his best days as a storyteller are behind him.
Yeah, and I think he is what you would call overrated too.
Well, his style had a time and place, and it was the
That's
early.
True too.
It was
Yeah.
the early
Yeah, that is
2000s
true.
when you could be quippy. Like we're watching Angel, and in the first 3 episodes, they're like, "Oh, that's gay." Like it's like you can't say that now. Like it's so funny how like that just really stands out and like. Champion of everything, Joss Whedon was one of the worst perpetrators of all of that back in the day.
Yeah, and again, I don't know. It's like, and it's like when rewatching Avengers. Again, I love Avengers, but there are a lot of hiccups in that movie that I don't think, because I was so excited when I first saw it, you don't necessarily pick up.
Yeah.
So and then we had Age of Ultron, which.
To
Again,
me,
that was one of those.
Age of Ultron is the worst MCU movie.
I have Thor: The Dark World with that.
See, Thor: The Dark World is an underrated film that people just get angry about because it's different. It was the first one that was really different. And
no, I will say it's really different. It is, but I think it's just not a good movie. It's one of the worst, if not the worst, MCU villain. Partially because I don't think Eccleston wanted to be there.
No, see, this is just another example where that guy took that fucking job for a paycheck, and he should have just been like, "No, I really don't want to do this. I don't like these kind of movies." You're right. I'll say this: Idris has been very open about like, "I don't want to play in these movies. I don't want to be in these movies." But you know what happens when he's in these movies? He gives it 100% because he's a goddamn professional, and he is he's a magical actor who, if you guys haven't seen The Wire and his character Stringer Bell, you have to. I
still need to watch that. I've watched episodes here and there, but
The Wire is fantastic.
Yeah, I've heard just nothing but good stuff.
But Eccleston did not want to be Doctor Who. He left after a season. Going back to what we were just talking about with Ruby Rose. This is not new territory where an actor's like, I really don't want to play this part anymore. I'm done after the first season. With Superboy, the Superboy TV show that only went for 2 seasons back in the 80s. The first Superboy was like, nah, I don't want to do this. Like, this is dumb. They brought a different Superboy in.
Yeah.
It's but when it comes to this kind of stuff, like, again, I'm gonna harp. Zack Snyder, please be a slave to the story in this cut.
Yes.
I thought, like, again, talking Marvel, I thought Infinity War was better than Endgame.
I was about to say, excuse me?
Because Infinity War was all about the story of what was happening.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Oh, and
Endgame is a spot fest, to use a wrestling term.
Yeah.
A wrestling term. It is a spot fest with all these just highlight spots that take away from the fact that they really didn't know what they were doing or how they were going to stick that landing.
Well, and again, that Infinity War didn't have to be a kind of like that capstone to 22 other movies.
But it could have been. Like, that's the thing. That movie ending with everybody dusting, that could be the end of the phase 1 or 2 or 3, whichever phase they were in at the time. Like, that's the end. They lost.
But
this is what it was, and now they have to go rebuild in the next phase. Like, I'll give a great example. Captain Marvel was a huge, just wasted MacGuffin in Endgame, right? Like, she really had no rhyme or reason to be there.
So, did I tell you what I thought was happening when she came into the scene? again, this is my just like hopefulness.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe this is the Silver Surfer coming. That was my thought.
They didn't have the rights yet, dude.
Yeah, I know. But like that was my thought. Like maybe they worked something under the table and we just don't know it.
Well, like when she came back and like took out Thanos' ship, right? That should have been Vision that Shuri put back together. Or Shuri put back together, right?
But she disappeared, so that couldn't.
Well, no,
have been
but
Vision.
like again, but you don't disappear that character. Like
yeah.
You keep that character around. She had 5 years to rebuild Vision, and like then when it comes to it, he's the secret weapon, and he just flies right through that ship, and he's like, "I know you don't remember me, but look, I don't need an Infinity Stone to beat your ass." And him and Scarlet Witch take Thanos out.
Yeah. Well, and again, like just I absolutely loved Endgame and I looked at those two movies. Like Infinity War was a better movie. Like you said, the wrestling comparison of great spots. I mean, they were just it was almost like a highlight video.
Yeah. I mean, it is. And it's fine. And because they went back in time and the whole time heist thing.
Yeah.
And admittedly, I'm not a huge fan of time travel. So that right there kind of set me on edge a little bit.
I like how they used it though. I was fine. This is the thing. And again, I know we're getting a little bit away from what we were talking about with Zack Snyder.
We're in rant zone at this point.
Yeah.
So.
Release the Snyder Cut. The one thing I actually liked about that, and again, I'm a geek at heart in the sense of geek and nerd, because I actually read
You're a
physics
GERD.
stuff. Yeah.
You're a neek. I don't know.
That sounds weird.
Yeah.
But the way time travel would work, if the theoretical idea of time travel, it would work exactly like they mentioned it, and that's what I appreciated in that, because it was more quote unquote. I'm calling time travel more grounded.
Yeah,
yeah.
Although I will say, I did get plenty of laughs when they're like, "Back to the Future is full of shit."
Yeah, this is a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, of course it is. It's a movie.
And no, Die Hard is not a movie about time travel.
Yeah, that was funny too. But Paul Rudd is a treasure.
Yeah, he is a treasure. I love Paul Rudd.
But yeah, it's, I don't know. Like, I think DC has always had, kind of looping it back up here as we close out, DC has always had trouble sticking the landing. I think the movie that came closest to it was probably Aquaman. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I actually like Man of Steel's ending. I actually like their third act.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Man of Steel third act is interesting too.
Now I want to watch Aquaman and Man of Steel right now.
I think Shazam's ending is pretty decent.
Yeah, Shazam. We didn't mention that at all, because it doesn't seem like a DC movie just because it was so good all the way through.
It's not good all the way through. It's another one that slogs in the middle as well. But that's just because you have kid actors as the majority of your cast. But yeah,
it's totally different tone anyway. So.
Yeah, I look at that as a kid's movie.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that as a like knock on it.
No, that's not a bad thing.
It's a kid's movie.
It's just like when I say Joss Whedon is overrated. I don't think he's bad. Don't get me wrong. See, and that's where people conflate the two. Like, just because you call something overrated doesn't mean it's terrible. Or horrible.
He's overrated. Firefly fans out there, there's only 4 watchable episodes out of the 13. Plain and simple. 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Quit clamoring for a second season of that. We don't need it.
No, we don't.
So Serenity, the movie was actually the best thing about that.
I really like the movie.
Which, like, it is looking more and more like it's the exception with Whedon when it comes to movies. And even that was a mess. But it's a fun mess. But it's yeah. But he understood those characters intrinsically, so that's the main difference there, because they were his.
Yeah, good point.
So anyway, all right. Before we go, I want to give a quick shout out to our patron Julian Brown on the Infamite status on patreon.com/infamous podcast. If you're listening to this point, do us a favor, go pick a tier and subscribe. You get videos on Thursdays. You get the episode on Thursdays, so prior to the Sunday episode, and I'm working on some other cool stuff to add to it, and you get free stickers right now. So yeah, all right. Any last words, Darryl?
Well, I think somebody has some last words in the
Dude,
background.
yeah, she's mad about something. Anyway.
No, but I'm looking again. It's months and months away, but hey,
Yep.
in that time we have a couple. We'll probably talk a little bit more as things open up about what's to look forward to when in the movies when we have like Tenet and Wonder Woman 1984 and stuff like that coming out. But looking forward to things opening up. I think I might watch Aquaman or Man of Steel and maybe Battlestar Galactica too. Thanks for reminding me about that.
So if you're listening right now, email me at brian@infamouspodcast.com. I need a new show to watch. I just finished everything available for Vikings, and I have no idea. I want to watch something new that I haven't seen before. So ideas are welcome.
Have you seen Kingdom?
No. Maybe I'll watch. Oh, maybe I'll watch the Netflix one about King Alfred next, The Last Kingdom.
The Last Kingdom.
Yeah,
I've heard. I started that. I need to finish that.
Yeah, that might be. Maybe I'll start that. But I still need ideas for stuff to watch. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch Patton Oswalt's new stand-up special too. So on Netflix. All right. Well, on that note, we will see you guys next week. Talk to you later.
See ya. Stay safe.
The Infamous Podcast is recorded in Kings Mills, Ohio, just north of Cincinnati, with new episodes out every Sunday. You can find more information about the show online at infamouspodcast.com or on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as @infamouspodcast. You can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcatching app. If you're enjoying the show, consider giving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast or check out our Patreon at patreon.com/infamouspodcast for our new tiers and rewards. The Infamous Podcast is hosted and produced by me, Brian Tudor, with music provided by Michael Henry from meetmichaelhenry.com. You can find me on social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as @BrianTudor. So, whenever you're listening to the show, have a great day, night, evening, weekend, whenever it is, and we'll see you next time. Later.